Cast button. There we go. Alrighty. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. I appreciate you hopping on here. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we are talking about Milton, of course. That is the big headline for today. Milton is approaching landfall later on today, but the outer bands are on land now, creating a tornado threat across a good portion of the southern portion of Florida. Life-threatening hazards here are associated with Milton whenever it makes landfall or just before landfall. 15-foot storm surge is possible here. Level 4 flooding, that's a level 4 out of 4, the highest that you could get. Category 4 hurricane right now. But what will happen before landfall? Are we going to see this weaken, or are we going to see this make landfall as a Category 4. I'll show you that in just a minute, but let's get to what we saw yesterday. Your storm reports yesterday, few and far between. I didn't see anything significant at all across the U.S. We did see a little bit of rain farther down into Florida. Okay, there's your rainfall totals over the last 24 hours. Of course, where we saw the biggest rainfall, the most amount of rain, was just on the west coast of Florida here. Tampa, of course, does not need any more rain, especially ahead of this hurricane, but it has once again gotten rain over the last 24 hours. It's going to get more rain today and tomorrow, and possibly the next day as well. This is just a situation that could cause major flooding across the Tampa Bay area, in addition to that storm surge. Okay, taking a look at your current conditions, we have a lot going on down in Florida right now, but the rest of the U.S. is very, very quiet. We see maybe a few clouds over Oklahoma, few showers, very, very light showers, nothing severe expected with that through the New England states. And there is that hurricane. You can see the rotation there as it starts to approach Florida. Holy moly, we're in for a late and long night with this hurricane coverage. But let's go ahead and take a look out to the west, where it's mostly dry. Out to the west here, temperatures are a little bit above average as well. We're going to see that trend as we head into October. 75 in Denver, 84 in Las Vegas, 66 in Los Angeles, not too bad out there, but we are seeing the upper 70s here in Oklahoma City. 79 is what we're seeing. Dallas, 77. 77 in Rockwall as well. So you may want the fan on you outside if you're taking lunch on the patio today, or maybe you just want to sit in the shade. It's not too hot, but it's just hot enough to need the shade. Alrighty, taking a look at that forecasted instability. We actually have two areas that catch my eye from this map. That first one, farther out into central U.S. Southern Plains area, Oklahoma, Kansas. Could we see some showers and storms in this area? It's possible. The chance to see rain, very low. The chance to see storms, even lower. I do not expect anything severe to come out of this over the next 24 hours. If we do see anything from this, it'll be later on Wednesday, early Thursday morning. Of course, our focus is farther down to the south, right? We are watching Florida, and we've been watching Florida. That is where we're expecting all of the activity to come from over the next 24 hours. Hail model here, hurricanes don't have hail, they're warm core systems, so we're not expecting any hail from the hurricane. Could we see any hail in Kansas or Oklahoma? If we do, it'll be very, very small. I'm not expecting anything over the size of a quarter. So once again, and we have used this map so many times, what we're seeing here is no significant hail expected. If we see any hail at all, it'll be smaller than the size of a quarter, smaller than 1 inch in size. But I think we're going to stay pretty dry. I mean, look at this. But as we get into the overnight hours tonight, late tonight, early tomorrow morning, you almost have to like squint to see a shower or two start to pop up in this area. I think for the most part, we're going to be dry. There's a chance that we could see a pop-up shower or two. For the most part, most of us will stay dry. Let's talk about that hurricane. Here we are. You can see Hurricane Milton starting to approach Florida here. The outer bands are approaching the coastline. I mean, already on the coastline, truly. We actually have eyes on the ground out there. So Storm Chasers CEO of Hail Trace, Derek Klein, is out in Florida. I think he's close to Sarasota right now, and he's reporting live from us. I want to hear from Derek, actually. Let's pop up what he has to say on the screen here.
Yeah, Taylor, we're live right now here. We're near Sarasota, Florida, where I think the brunt of this hurricane is going to make landfall, most likely in about 12 hours from now. So we're really geared up for 3 waves, expecting 3 impacts to happen in the Sarasota and even maybe the Tampa area all the way down to Fort Myers. So the first wave currently ongoing, where we have widespread rain and some gusty winds, 30 to 40 miles per hour. But the real impact with this first wave is the tornado threat. So we've already seen large tornadoes down in the Everglades. We expect that to continue to progress northward now as the first feeder band begins to make landfall on the coast. We're going to see more tornadoes with that. So that's the first wave. As we get into the next 2 to 3, around 4 o'clock this afternoon here in Sarasota, expect to see the wind gusts to really begin to pick up, where we'll see wind gusts 50 to 60, potentially even 70 miles per hour with this next wave that comes in. Okay, so that's 50 to 60 to 70 mile per hour winds from around 4, 5 o'clock on till about 7, 8, potentially even 9 o'clock. The winds might begin to go up a little bit about 9 o'clock, but from 9 to 10 o'clock, I expect what will be the most impactful part of this hurricane, and that's the third wave. Okay, that's when we'll see the eye wall begin to make landfall. Right here, again, I think very close to Sarasota, Florida. That's where we'll expect to see 10 to 15 foot storm surge. You can see the wind gusts really beginning to pick up here. A 10 to 15 foot storm surge, and again, winds over 120 miles per hour constantly for about a 2 hour to 3 hour stretch. That will go all the way until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and then things slowly but surely, very slowly, begin to wind down from 120, and by sunrise I think things will be much calmer here on the west coast of Florida. Not the case for the east coast of Florida, as Hurricane Milton begins to pull off the east coast as well. So again, 3 waves, tornadoes, strong gusty tropical storm force winds, and then the final wave will be our hurricane, where again, storm surge, very strong winds, 120 miles per hour. That expected to start after 10 o'clock tonight, or around 10 o'clock tonight. So we're going to continue to stay out here and really track this hurricane as it gets closer and closer to the coast of Florida. And again, big impacts coming soon for Florida. Back to you, Taylor.
Derek, thank you for being out there. We really appreciate that. As he was talking there, you heard him say multiple waves of this storm, right? They're experiencing a wave right now, but they're going to experience another one later on tonight, or later on this afternoon and tonight. You could also hear from his video that it was very windy already. They're already getting the impacts of this storm down in Florida, even before we see, even 12 hours before we see the eye make landfall. So Derek, we appreciate you being out there. Of course, we're going to keep you guys updated on this storm as it makes landfall today, and we're getting videos from Derek just every few hours, and we'll make sure those get on social media so that you can see them. So go ahead and press that follow button so you can see those videos as we post them. But let's get right into this storm, right? So you can see, here's what we're watching for. There's the eye of the storm. This is later on tonight into the evening hours. What we're watching for here is this storm pushing up all of this water from the ocean, from the Gulf, into Florida. So there's where your storm surge is going to be, anywhere from Tampa just to the south into the southern tip of Florida. We also have that tornado threat that's happening right now. And if we split this hurricane into 4 different quadrants, you can see the tornado threat right in the central portion of the state. So one of the areas that is being most impacted here will be Tampa, Orlando, and even off to the East Coast. But you don't have to take it from me. I've got graphics. I can show you all of these things that we just talked about. Taking a look at the spaghetti plots here, lots of consistency for this to make landfall just to the south of Tampa.
Yeah, Taylor, we're
Taking a
live
look
right
at,
now here. We're near Sarasota, Florida.
We've got
where
Derek up there right now. We may have some tech issues back there, and that one's on me. But I want to show you what we're expecting for intensity here. Category 4 intensity from this storm. What we're expecting at landfall, so that's what we have right now. What we're expecting at landfall is that to weaken to a Category 3 as it makes landfall. Now, something that we've talked about over and over and over on our Facebook Lives, YouTube Lives, Twitter Lives the last few days is that there is a major difference between a Category 3 storm and a storm that is weakening to a Category 3. Even though that storm is weakening, it is still an extremely powerful storm. So it's going to be very, very strong, a major hurricane, still a very, very impressive hurricane as it makes landfall as either a 3 or a 4. I think there's probably still an argument that it could be a 4 this evening as it makes landfall. Okay, moving on here. One of the most interesting things about this storm is it's maintaining that hurricane force wind all the way over the peninsula and then off to the east coast. So even places like Orlando is expecting to get those hurricane force winds through late tonight and into early tomorrow morning. And I can even show you the timing once again. I do want to go back and I want to show you the timing of this here. Look at the timing. As it's going over Orlando, we're at 10, 11 o'clock tonight. Into the early morning hours tomorrow, 12 a.m. into Friday morning. It's exiting off the east coast of Florida and then continuing out into the Atlantic as a low pressure system. Alrighty, moving on here, just as we mentioned earlier, Cat 3 winds anywhere from 111 to 129 miles per hour. If we see a Cat 3 out of this, it'll probably be closer to having winds at 129 or on the stronger side. Cat 4, 130 to 156. And what we've already seen from Milton is that stronger than 157 mile per hour sustained wind speeds. We actually saw 180 out of this, which is really, really impressive. Thankfully, it didn't make landfall with that strength. What about the wind shear? So will it weaken at all? You can see here our high wind shear right off the coast of Florida, highlighted here in blue. So that's high wind shear. Wind shear is going to weaken the hurricane. So once it gets impacted by that high wind shear, it will start to weaken a little bit. We'll see how much. It's still a really strong storm right now. How much will the wind shear weaken the storm? That's a question that's up in the air. That's something that we'll have to watch for. Sea surface temperature is still pretty warm. We're at 84 just off the coast of Florida as well. All right, let's talk about some of these impacts here. You can see that your storm surge, we can go back to this map here, between 10 and 15 feet. And you can actually see just how far inland the storm surge goes with all of these little rivers and canals that go into Florida. This is pretty far inland. That's definitely something that you're gonna want to watch for, not just along the coast here, but also inland. We're watching for 1 to 3 feet, 3 to 6 feet storm surge into Tampa. Moving on here to storm surge here, we talked about 15 feet of storm surge. That is higher than it's like 3 times the size of the average person. So you can see that goes almost through the second story of a house. 12 feet reaches the second story of a house. 15 feet, just a little bit higher than that. So we're expecting a lot of houses here along the coast to be flooded because of this hurricane coming in. Hurricane warning goes not only on the west coast, but all the way to the east coast through most of central Florida. Tropical storm warning on the northern side of the state and on the southern side of the state, and even a tropical storm watch through Georgia and Florida here. And here's a look at that tornado risk for today. You can see some of these outer bands as they track up to the north and off to the east. We are watching for the potential for what we call spin-up tornadoes. However, it often has the connotation that they're weak, but spin-up really means fast tornadoes with most likely very little warning time. I think right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tornado warnings in effect right now. Yes, you can call this a tornado outbreak. So you can see, and we may have 10 here. But you can see that we have tornado warnings that go to the north of Okeechobee, Sebring, Arcadia, and just to the east of Fort Myers. So we've got several areas here that we're watching for tornadoes. I think there was already at least 1 or 2 reported tornadoes this morning, and they were talking about that these were not small tornadoes. These were very significant tornadoes. Talk about significant, we do have this area shaded or dashed because we are watching for the potential for significant tornado outbreak in this area through central Florida, near Fort Myers, just to the south of Tampa, as we go throughout the rest of the day today. And we even have a tornado risk for tomorrow as well. Possibly, we can get to it there. There you go. It's just to the east coast of Florida here. And I actually think they've trimmed this back a little bit because Hurricane Milton is making such a fast approach here. It's moving a lot faster than they expected. They had this low risk a little bit farther to the west, and I think they've trimmed this back to the east just a little bit. I see some people commenting on here, makes me sad. God bless Florida. Big prayers to those impacted. Thank you so much. We are thinking about those that are impacted over the next 24 hours because that impact is not just 24 hours. That impact goes for weeks, months, years. They will be cleaning up from this storm for a very long time. Let's move on now to your rainfall totals. You can see that most of the U.S. here, dry and warm. We've got some showers and storms over the next 5 days from our New England states up to the Midwest. But what we're really watching for here, where are all of those colors at? That's out in Florida. So Milton makes landfall late today. Your rainfall totals are pretty impressive, but it's a little bit more impressive as we go into late tonight through Thursday. Anywhere from Tampa all the way up to Jacksonville, we are expecting the flooding potential in here, a level 4 out of 4, very high there. Getting a break finally on Friday, starting to kind of dry off as we head into the late week and through this weekend. Now, what about the rest of the U.S.? We spent a lot of time today talking about Florida, but the rest of the U.S., we're dry. We have above average chances to be dry over the next 24 hours and dry over the next 2 weeks. There we go. This goes all the way to October 18th. Now let's talk about the next 24 hours. What are your temperatures tomorrow? Mid-80s here in Oklahoma City, low 90s in Dallas, 95 down in San Antonio. Almost record-breaking heat farther out to the south and west in the southern portions of California and into the Four Corners. It will stay above average. Temperatures are likely to stay above average out to the west as we head into the second week of October as well. There's your average. We're going to see a pattern change here in Oklahoma City. That's awesome. By the middle of October, we've been above average for late September, early October for about 2 weeks now. So it's nice to see those temperatures just get a little bit cooler. All right, thanks for joining us today. We heard from Derek. We talked about Milton. We appreciate you hopping on and getting all of your information from Hail Trace. If you would like to see more videos from Derek down in Florida, follow our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok pages. Also, give us a call for any hail, wind, tornado maps at 855-334-4245. Email us at info@hailtrace.com and head over to our website, hailtrace.com. Actually, on our website today, we have a blog going out to talk about the anniversary of Hurricane Michael, which is tomorrow. Category 5 hurricane in Florida. It's very eerie that we are once again having an M-named storm. Category 4 hurricane right now making landfall in Florida on this just about the same day. We're just a few hours apart there. So we will be talking about that on our website today. So head over there if you are curious about more information about our hurricanes. Alrighty, thank you for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. We'll give you more updates throughout the next few hours on Milton. Make sure to hit that follow button, and we'll see you back here, same time, same place, for your noon forecast tomorrow.